Having watched the first 9 episodes of Kill la Kill, I'm filled with an urge to talk about it right now. Just a quick heads up, I'm probably going to spoil key parts of the first 9 episodes of a 25 episode series. If that's a problem, feel free to leave right now. You have a 3-second head start. 3, 2, 1. Alright, so the first 10 minutes of episode 1 are fantastic. Fast-paced, well-animated action that also explains a key part of the world, the introduction of the main villain, one of her top-ranking henchmen, and her ideals, an establishing shot showing the sheer scale of the setting, the introduction of the hero of the story and her comic relief best friend, and the central conflict between the hero and the villain. That's the first 10 minutes, and they are completely nuts and fun. I'm not sure if the series has properly lived up to the potential of its opening, but it's still been a fun ride. So far, episodes 1, 3, 4, and 5 have been the strongest. Episode 1 is a strong introduction to the series. Episode 3 escalates the main rivalry of the series with an impressive action scene and character work, which actually has a little subtlety to it. Episode 4 is a silly comedy episode that ends absolutely perfectly, while also taking the time to give Senketsu, the talking school uniform, a personality. And episode 5 builds on that personality and his relationship with Ryoko, while also being more serious and introducing Nudist Beach, which will probably be more important later on. There's all this talk about clothing in the show, which might just be there to explain the weird outfits, or it could actually mean something by the end. Uniforms are linked to fascism, while nudity is linked to freedom. There's also a line of dialogue about how dangerous it is to change a man. Now, I'm not completely sure if that's about how dangerous it is to force a man to improve himself, or if it's also about how he changed his outfit and now he's stronger. Ryuko is a decent lead character. Erica Mendez, I believe that's her voice actress's name, gives her a good, tough girl voice and snarky sense of humour. She has a good balance between kind and rude. And I like the detail that she is so hot-tempered and so hot-blooded that Senketsu has to release steam frequently in order to cool her down. All that's just a result of her blushing due to embarrassment so much, at least early on. Satsuki is a fun villain. She's so over the top in her rich girl fascist act that it's completely mesmerizing at moments. This girl practically runs a school that has a history class talking about the rise of the Nazi Party in Germany that she probably approved the curriculum of, and she still gets up on a pedestal to preach her 1984-style totalitarian viewpoint to the masses. There's not a single moment where she considers that there's a possible parallel between what she's doing and what the students are studying. One of my favourite sequences in the entire series so far has been from episode 3 when she finally gets her own kamui, or school uniform that's alive, although hers doesn't seem to talk, although that might just be because we're inside Ryoko's head all the time and not inside Satsuki's, so it might be talking to her, she might just not respond to it. Anyway, firstly, this flashback to her childhood establishes that this kamui, Junketsu, is meant to be her wedding dress. What she's meant to be married to isn't obvious right now. I assume she knows, and I also assume it isn't human. Why would she need combat gear that activates through blood payment to be married off to a mortal being? Then we see her put on Junketsu, which seems to be done out of jealousy that Ryoko got one first, and after some nice images of the clothing latching onto her body and her struggle for dominance over it, she declares, "Ask not the sparrow how the eagle soars," which sort of encapsulates both her arrogance and her resolve, and explains why people follow her. She's just so charismatic as a result of being utterly psycho, which might be why there's all those references to the Nazi Party in the series. She's also a good exaggeration of the student council president archetype in anime, but that's something for another time. The music is fantastic, although I don't like the opening that much. It's fine visually, but the song isn't much to write home about. Maybe something more rocky or rough-edged would have been better. Oddly enough, the more fluffy ending theme and its animation are much, much better. The point I'm trying to make here is that I'm probably going to get the soundtrack to this once I'm done with the entire series. I may as well talk about another part of the production. The animation is all over the place. Sometimes it's really good, sometimes it's clearly just 3D character models, and sometimes it is deliberately bad. You cannot tell me that episode 4 isn't animated that way by accident. It seems to be a style choice. I don't know if I appreciate all these wild changes yet. I have to think I'll be able to make up my mind when I've watched the entire series. But I have made up my mind on one of the visual effects. I love that the series is in 16:9, but all of the flashbacks are in 4:3. I can't tell if it's clever or really stupid, but I love it. There's one thing that I want out of this series, and it's that I want Ryoko to have more allies and friends. Right now, it's just her, Senketsu, Marco, and the homeroom teacher, with Ryoko being the only fighter so far, although it is implied the homeroom teacher can handle himself in a fight. There needs to be someone else, even if it's just former villains that side with her. It needs to be more evenly balanced between heroes and villains. Satsuki's mother is clearly going to be a very big problem. She's hinted at in episode 1 and makes a very brief appearance in episode 6, complete with an evil and ominous music sting. So whether or not she's part of another faction or if she's Satsuki's master remains to be seen, but that probably means that Satsuki most likely isn't the murderer of Ryoko's father. She's either associated with them or knows who they are. Also, Satsuki's probably going to obtain the second scissor blade by the time the series ends. If there are 2 blades, then it makes sense for the rival of the main character to wield the second one. The weakest episode in the series so far was episode 6. Sanagayama's character arc seems a little too fast, and Ryoko beating any member of the Elite Four as easily as she does Sagayama in their first battle is somewhat anticlimactic, even if Sagayama was blinded by his arrogance. Although the final line of dialogue of the episode, and the darker colours of the rematch, and the tease of Satsuki's mother, and the reveal that he has sewn his eyelids shut were all great. It's just too much, and it's just too rushed. I also really like the English dub so far. 1 or 2 lines have felt a little off, but overall I really like every major character. David Vincent as Senketsu is really fitting, but I don't think the story has given him much to say. Satsuki is great, Marco's family are great, and Gamagori is also great. At the end of episode 9, Ryuko was on her way to fighting the rest of the Elite Four before facing Satsuki. It's like a more hot-blooded version of the Pokemon League, with the science guy who keeps hanging around the evil sewing club being up next. I don't know where this is going for the most part. I assume that by episode 16, everything will become clear in terms of how large the series is going to be, because this deathmatch tournament will be over by then. So far, I'm enjoying Kill la Kill, and I hope I enjoy the rest of the series. Maybe I'll talk about the whole thing once I've finished, but until then, thank you for watching. Good night.